Now, a new study conducted by the Kintampo Health Research Center in the Borno East region has revealed that inhaling smoke from firewood contributes to hypertension, pneumonia, and disruption of lung functioning. The study, titled Ghana Randomized Air Pollution Health Study, was initiated by the center in the year 2015 to assess the impact of household air pollution on people's health. My colleague Anat Sabet has been speaking with the head of the Environmental Health Research and lead researcher of the study, Dr. Suleimana Ouattara Abubakari, and has come through with this report.
Globally, almost 3 billion people still rely on open fires or inefficient stoves to cook their food, filling their homes with dangerous levels of smoke. A recent study conducted by the Kintampo Health Research Center revealed that inhaling this form of smoke causes hypertension, pneumonia, and disruption of lung functioning. The study, titled Ghana Randomized Air Pollution Health Study, was to, amongst other things, assess the impact of household air pollution on people's health. Dr. Suleimana Ouattara Abubakari is the head of Environmental Health Research at the Kintampo Health Research Center and the lead researcher for the study.
In 2015, we did this work. That's a randomized controlled trial that we call it GRAPS, or Ghana Randomized Air Pollution and Health Survey. So in this survey, what we as researchers we sought to do was to look at the impact of household air pollution on women and also children. In fact, the children wanted to do a life cycle study, so wanted to even know before they were born whether household air pollution has some health effects on them.
Dr. Suleimana explained that the study used a population of 1,500 respondents, including pregnant women in the study area in the Kintampo North and South districts of the Borno East region.
What we did in this work was to give, we had in all about 1,500 women, and we gave about 500 of them LPG cook stoves. And then for another 500, we gave an improved biomass stove, which was called BioLite. And then for the third group, we recruited women that use traditional stoves, so they more or less use whatever they use for cooking. And it's interesting, as researchers, we've been following up on this cohort, that's the women that we recruited when they were pregnant, about 24 weeks, and their children since 2015. So now the children are about 9 years, and we continue to follow up on them. So we realized that for those using the traditional cook stove, we saw that they tend to have a higher systolic blood pressure.
He advised that women who cook in large quantities should inculcate the habit of savings to purchase improved cook stoves to help prevent them from the risk of acquiring respiratory diseases in future.
As the women cook in commercial quantities, I think the advice is that they should be able to make some savings so that over time they are able to buy these improved cook stoves. I'm saying this because anecdotally, we live in the communities, and we've realized that those who do this commercial cooking tend to over time, fall down with stroke and other things that we all see very clearly.
Dr. Suleimana was, however, quick to laud government for the reduction in the prices of LPG and noted that government should further work on its cylinder recirculation model to help in its accessibility.
Currently, we always see prices of fuel going up, but I think the last increases that happened, we saw that the prices of LPG rather went down. And for me, we find two main variables or two main things that is making people not to change from the traditional cook stove to the use of clean stove. These two variables are mainly the cost. So in a way, that is what the government is addressing now. And then also distance. So hopefully the cylinder recirculation model that the government is also thinking of bringing it on board latest by the end of this year. If it comes on board, we'll bring LPG close to the doorstep of people, and that will also take out the distance barrier that we also see as researchers.
Alan Sabit, Joy News, Kintampo.
This afternoon, Justice of the Court of Appeal, Justice George Kingsley Kumsen, has sworn in all newly elected executives of the Ghana Journalists Association, including the embattled president, Albert Jumfo. The ceremony, which came off at the Accra International Conference Center, was done despite an injunction application by Justice Lee Aduboy. My colleague, Michael Ashley, is at a conference center monitoring the event and joins us through phone. Michael, good afternoon. Thanks for your time. Now, what's happening there?
Yeah, so just a few minutes ago, the president managed to give his speech, the first speech that he's given since he was sworn in just about 20 minutes ago. So it's just about wrapping up the event here, essentially. So what did he say in his address? He preached on welfare and what have you. What did he say exactly when he was speaking? As part of his campaign, he started enumerating some of the policies that he has in mind, and he's reiterated some of them. But one of the things that he said that will probably spark and show as a force for the journalists will be that he's issued essentially a stern warning to all persons who are in the habit of violating the rights of journalists and abusing them. He says there is a new sheriff in town, and he is poised, he's ready to protect the interests of all journalists, essentially. So that's what he's saying. That's not all that he's also been talking about. He's also been promising to continue the review of the GJA constitution, not forgetting that it's one of the issues at the heart of the delay in the elections. At least 2 years, we know that the GJA was supposed to have held an election to elect new executives. So he's also committed to doing that as well. Then he goes on to talk about other things, the scholarship that he's hoping to explore, talk to some other entities, so then that journalists can have access to scholarship to further their education. He's also spoken about something of a summer camp for journalists to train them on new technologies so that journalists are not left behind in the technological realm or the new techniques that come up in the practice of journalism. We know there was an application for injunction against the whole swearing-in ceremony. Did anything like that come up? Well, not officially, though, but since I got here, I've been trying to get to some of the executives that I have seen, or the newly elected at the time. What they tell me is that they cannot take notice of an injunction that essentially has not been served on them because they've not received them or signed off that they have received them. So they cannot speak to anything of the sort. So essentially, they are saying that the injunction was served on their blind side, and that cannot be. I managed to try to get a few words from the Justice Kumsen, who was supposed to do the swearing in. He tells me saying that he's been already sent to come and do a program, and that's all it really will be. All right, thank you very much. Now, moving on to other stories. The director of the Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Prof Kwesi Quartey, has praised former President John Dramani Mahama for being tolerant to divergent views that were expressed during his tenure as president. According to Prof Kwesi Quartey, he could vociferously criticize the former president and still sleep soundly after such critiques. Speaking at the John Evans Atamel's Memorial Lecture for Central and Western Regions, he indicated that general security was about tolerant of divergent views.
True security is for the farmer to wake up at 4 a.m. and go to farm without fearing. True security is about our mothers leaving at 2:30 a.m., traveling for 300 kilometers to go and shop, and knowing they will get to that market and to come back home. True security is about ensuring that you can walk up to a police officer and say, "I am lost," and he will not say, "How much would you want to pay?" True security is about ensuring that people don't stop us on the highways and demand that we pay before we leave, even when there is no basis for that intimidation. True security is when we have an outlet to complain, and when the complaint is done, we have the sense that something has been done about it. Genuine security is about being tolerant about different forms and different ideas, of diversity of opinion. And here I want to celebrate and salute former President John Mahama. I criticize him. And he knows it. I never spared him. But I also slept something. I criticized former President Mahama so much that every time he came to the Kofi Annan Center, he said, let me see if Kwesi is there so that I can recognize him. So he doesn't criticize me. So thank you very much. What we learned from Professor Mills relates to the tricky nexus between the law and ensuring that we get security. That is dialogic, that is consensual, that is engaging, and that allows for discourses. The challenge of security governance here is about restoring the fundamental values of those security institutions and ensuring their sustenance through autonomous watchdog institutions.
Now, still at the event, the 2020 running mate for the NDC, Professor Jain Nana Ajiman, described attacks on protesters in the country as worrying and a practice which did not find place during the era of the late President John Evans Atta Mills. She says the former president will always stand tall in the protection of the fundamental human right and democracy of the country.
We would never have conceived of a plan making our university graduates, after years of learning and preparation, march in the heat of the sun to salute you and be compensated with temporary jobs in the place where trained ones are unemployed. I go away with a deep sense of his integrity, his respect for humanity, his determination to alleviate hardship, to be truthful, to willingly give an account of his stewardship without threat from anyone, parliament or not. That if you were in power, students who wanted to study law would not have been met with a spray of hot water. Like your successor, these demonstrations, the demonstrators could have occupied Ghana, allowed their votes to count, without a policeman captured aiming a gun and a stone as peaceful demonstrators. While a journalist will wonder where the demonstrators got the stones from, thereby unwittingly confirming that the security agents can arm themselves with same and get away with it, and even aim guns at demonstrators. To commemorate you, Prof, is to bemoan the rapidly deteriorating human attributes, variously described as respect, dignity, integrity, tolerance, truthfulness, generosity, and whatsoever is of good report and of good repute. We will remember and celebrate you for living these
A health program targeted at reducing death of newborn babies in the Ashanti region has achieved a significant reduction in neonatal mortality cases. Through the successful implementation of the program, authorities say death associated with newborns reduced from a record 70 deaths per 100,000 live births in 2018 to 40 per 100,000 live births in 2022. Ashanti Regional Health Director Dr. Emmanuel Kojo Tinkran says the support of the Canadian government and partners, neonatal resuscitation services are being offered in some selected public health facilities. Ohiming Teria has more.
Health authorities observed high incidence of newborn deaths were detected 4 years ago as ill-equipped peripheral facilities referred neonatal emergencies to the Oli Referral Center, Konfanochi Teaching Hospital for management. CATS, overwhelmed by the numbers, could not offer the best of care to the babies, resulting in deaths. As part of the program dubbed Saving the Lives of Children project, neonatal intensive care units were set up at Suntreso, Menchia, Mampong and the adjacent government hospitals to provide quality emergency care to release the burden on Komfo Teaching Hospital. Regional Health Director Dr. Emmanuel Kojo revealed the Canadian government and partners like UNICEF provided the facilities with the needed equipment to function effectively.
4 years ago, our neonatal mortality was very high. So what we realized is that most of the cases cannot be managed at the peripheral level. So referrals will have to go to Komfo. So we set up neonatal intensive care units and then other hospitals, so that most of the referrals that were previously going to Komfo were reduced. And then we posted pediatricians from Komfo to these facilities. So instead of referring most of these neonatal cases to Komfo, and as I said, the issue was the time, because they were not giving adequate care because the work overload is just too much. And with that, we started seeing reduction in the mortalities. So initially like 70 per 100,000 live birth. Now we are working close to about 40 per 100,000 live birth, which is quite good.
Canada commits at least $50 million Canadian in bilateral support through its programs in Ghana every year. Canadian High Commissioner to Ghana, Kati Saba, joined the Regional Director of Health on a tour of some of the health facilities in the region.
As the spread of COVID-19 burdened the health systems of the country, the result was increasingly limited capacity to deliver the routine health care services provided by maternal, newborn, and child health clinics. As we know, babies do not stop being born in a pandemic. The overstretched health system, coupled with decreased visits to health clinics, meant that mothers, babies, and children did not have access to critical and timely care. I'm pleased to confirm that a further 15 health facilities have been equipped with medical oxygen infrastructure, and 150 health workers have been trained to administer oxygen to patients in critical care.
Several health facilities are currently benefiting from an $8 million funding support for life-saving health, nutrition and sanitation services for children and women in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Abioso Government Hospital is one of the beneficiaries. The hospital is also benefiting from a reliable water supply system. Nathaniel Adams Jr. is CEO, Rural Water and Development Program Ghana, implementing partners of UNICEF.
This project basically is adding on 20,000 litre storage, 110 liters per minute water supply, a two-seater, and replacing Veronica buckets with sinks to aid hand washing. So for Ejiso, this is what is happening. This is what is being replicated in the 16 additional hospitals and the 22 CHIPS compound.
From Kumasi, for JoyNews, Ohimiteria reporting.
Now, lawyers for the 29 people arrested on the first day of the Arise Ghana, the Chrome Ayashi demonstration, which turned violent, are demanding their immediate release. The charged crowd gathered at the Obra Sport on Tuesday, determined to march through the Ring Road to the Jubilee House to present concerns on a high cost of living, bad governance, corruption, insecurity, among others. A pushback by the police resulted in the chaos. The second day was peaceful, with the protesters presenting petitions to the Ministry of Finance and Parliament asking for immediate government action. Lawyers of the arrested suspect claim they were denied access to their client on the first day of the arrest. Ibrahim Mohammed is lead counsel. He spoke to us.
We got access through our own means. That is to say, when at the police headquarters, CRD headquarters, there were tight lips on where they are, where they have kept them. An insider gave us information as to their whereabouts. And so, as I indicated yesterday, they were in about 4 police stations: Tesano, Nima, Osu, and La. And so we trekked to those places and found them there. So the access is not as if it was the police that assisted us to have access, but on our own accord, ingenuity, we got to know where they were. Now, this morning, information is that they are moving them to the CRD headquarters, and we'll be there to see what is going to happen.
So when they move them to the CID headquarters, what's next on this?
I'm told, as of yesterday, they had finished taking everybody's statements, all the suspects. They had taken statements, all their statements. So the way it is now, we would have to also rush the headquarters to know what's happening, why they are assembling them at the headquarters.
Okay. Do we know the charges as of now?
Because we were not there when they were taking their statements, we are not. So when we get there today, we will first ask of the charges that will be proffered against them, or the charges they are investigating them on.
Interesting. But is it lawful for their statement to be taken without their lawyer?
Yes, they can do that. But if the suspect insists that I want my lawyer to be around, then they will have to go on.
Now, Ghana's largest union for public sector workers, the Trades Union Congress, has heightened demand for the immediate payment of cost of living allowance for all members. The TUC controls over 700,000 of public sector workers and indicates that 8 members are suffering from the excesses of the harsh economic times. General Secretary of the TUC, Dr. Yauma, tells JoyNews failure by government to consider their proposals on the subject will leave them with no option but to embark on industrial actions.
Our members are saying that what will help them now, when inflation is 27%, is COLA of 20%, because we got 7% already. That is what we need now. This is not a time to go and be talking about tax and so on. So we expect that the COLA that will be given to us will not be taxed, because that COLA, government is not going to pay social security on it. It's just an allowance. So that one is given. As for what government can do to actually reduce the burden, one of them is what Austin Government is suggesting. But that's not what we are proposing now. We are focused. We are proposing 20% increase in everybody's salary for now, so that people can, have their standard of living not worsened.
Now, Austin Game is a labor consultant who proposes some solutions to the challenge at hand.
I'm amazingly surprised that that happened, and I want to say that it's only proper that today, even if you mean having a meeting 24 hours, the best thing is to be proactive, not to react. This one is going to be a reaction, and if you are having a reaction, the outcome is normally different because you are under intense pressure. Labor-related matters are discussed voluntarily sometimes or arranged so that you are not under any form of pressure whatsoever. That is what should have been done, but it's not too late. I want to urge my colleagues to call a meeting right now. Shortly after this conversation, I want to hear that there is a meeting ongoing, so that they can have a genuine conversation, not going to argue and debate, because that will produce a winner and a loser. Because any one person paid by government today costs us all something, and Dr. Ba has alluded to it already. However, they will do it to alleviate the plight of working people. Maybe some of the taxes can be taken off, some of the things. It will serve a certain purpose. Looking at the dynamics of it, I think both parties can reach agreement. I have confidence in both the employer and the labor workforce, except that they must expand the conversation to the level that the playing partners will not be limited, because organized labor is a wide field, so that people will not feel left out. Otherwise, they will do it in their corner. Not only people who are affiliated, but it must be expanded. And I think they will get some result out of it.
But they have
it's a very tricky situation.
Now, children of Ibrahim Mohammed, an Ejura-based social media activist whose murder sparked mass riot in a town, say they are still battling traumatic scenes of his death 1 year after he was killed by an unknown assailant. 2 of the 5 girls he left behind are unable to use the main entrance to their house to avoid coming into contact with a bloody spot where their father was found unconscious in a pool of blood. Police say Ibrahim Mohammed, also known as Kaka Macho, was attacked in the head, possibly with a club, by his assailant as he entered his family house on his motorbike. My colleague Ohiming Teria visited the Dagomba Line family house of the late activist at Ejura 1 year after his passing, and he has come through with his report.
Ibrahim Mohammed, a fashion designer noted for using social media platforms to address the ills in Ejura, died at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital 3 days after he was attacked on June 26, 2021. Police say the late activist was attacked whilst entering the family house here at Dagomba Line in Ejura through this entrance, which then used to be a wooden gate.
Any day I entered the house, I remember the scene I saw that day. He was pulling his motorbike in. Then he was hit by the sticks. I realized maybe one is hiding here, one is hiding here. So they attacked him here. So he was lying in a pool of blood. At that fateful dawn when you come, these sport potholes is full of blood. The sticks were lying here, one there. The people have fled away.
Angered by the failure of police to arrest his suspected killers, the youth went on rampage, attacked the Ejura police station and vandalized property.
I called Lieutenant Colonel Pipra, commanding officer 4 Battalion, to dispatch some of the teams of Operation Calm Light to provide protection.
A military reinforcement deployed on the orders of the Ashanti Regional Minister.
All right, so let's take you to the Ashanti region where we are told that this case was called in court today. Our colleague Ohiming Teria joins us on phone with details of what happened in court. Ohiming, tell us what happened when you went to court today. Ohiming, if you can hear me, can you brief us on what happened in court today? Well, we are trying to get Ohiming Teria to give us an update because we are told that this case was called in court today. So we want to find out from him what happened. Ohiming, if you can hear me now, give us an up to speed on what happened in court on this particular matter.
Thank you. Currently, 3 suspects who were picked in connection with the murder of the late Ibrahim Mohammed, also known as Kaka Mecho, have been standing trial at the Asokwa District Court in Kumasi here since June 19th, July 19th, when they made their maiden appearance in court. The 3 of them have been granted bail by Kumasi High Court, but the last time we went to court, about a month ago, we were told the case docket has been forwarded to the Attorney General's office for advice. In fact, the case docket has been at this stage for the last 5 court hearings. So come July 3rd, hearing will come off again at the Asokwa District Court, where we'll be briefed on the latest update as far as the case is concerned. The family of the late Ibrahim Mohammed are unhappy because they say it's been a drain a drain of resources on them, having had to travel all the way from Ejura to Asokwa every month to participate in the court hearing is something that they think that the judiciary service will have to expedite action as far as the hearing of the case is concerned.
Thank you very much. This is still the Joy News today on the Joy News channel. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we have the latest in business. Stay with us.
Hi there, welcome to business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Bank of Ghana is pushing for comprehensive background checks on all banking staff. This follows a new report revealing that 53% of fraud cases in 2021 involved bank workers. The central bank is also making a strong case for improved salary levels, especially for temporary staff in the sector. To check this, here's reaction from banking consultant Nana Champong.
If you look at the 3 triangles of fraud, you will see that one of them is the issue of the person who feels that there's an opportunity for fraudulent things. So in as much as the banks are doing all the checks on staff and ensuring that they don't do that, whatever you do, there will be some bad apple in the system. So the banks are up to the task in ensuring that they monitor staff very, very closely, both digitally and physically, to reduce this incidence of staff involvement in fraud. And I think the new method is also the naming and shaming. Previously, if it happened, they were keeping it under wraps in the hope that it may affect their reputation. But now it's come to a point where the banks, if you do it, they will name and shame you so that you stop doing it. And also Bank of Ghana has this black book system where if you are sacked from a bank for any infraction, they keep your name in that book. And if you resurface in another bank or in another institution, they go through the book, and if your name is there, then forget about it. So all those checks are helping to clean up the system.
But is it the case that these are not punitive enough because it's not deterring them from going ahead to do so?
Well, if you allow me to digress a bit, we were told that the police were not paid enough. That's why they were taking money.
I remember that.
Their pay was increased, and the money taking is still going on, unfortunately. So, no, I think, joking apart, they do get recompense for the work that they do. And in my opinion, they are fairly recompensed. And so, but whatever you do with it, you always have some bad apples or bad nuts in the system.
In other news, management accountants have been charged to distinguish themselves by exhibiting high ethical standards in the performance of their duties. This is the only way customers or the public can continue to repose confidence in the profession. President and Chair of the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, Paul Ash, made the call at a breakfast meeting hosted by the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants in Accra. There is more in this report.
The breakfast meeting, hosted by the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, in Accra, was part of Paul Ash's 5-day tour of Africa to build relationships with members and students and also understand problems that confront members in Africa. Speaking on a theme, Dare Together, he indicated that as very important players in organizations, it is incumbent on members to apply high moral standards at work.
I'm sorry to predict that we're in for a sustained period of economic unrest, of high inflation, high interest rates, and so on. But I'm absolutely confident that, our members, just as our members helped us get through the pandemic, and are helping us as well directly on the ground, which we believe in Eastern Europe, where we've taken in, our people from Ukraine, finding them employment, our staff members, of course, that also came across from Kiev. I'm absolutely confident that our members, who are at the heart of business, heart of government, heart of institutions working away, will help us navigate through all of these problems.
As part of efforts to help members in this regard, he said the association has launched an online ethics decision tool designed to help accountant professionals make ethically sound decisions in tough situations.
The white paper is all about the future of finance, really, and the breadth of our influence on things like integrated reporting, not just on the financial numbers, but also on sustainability. So it's really in the overall impacts, the wider impact that we can have on society, and not just on businesses and organizations and the profit and loss account and balance sheet.
Members of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants had the opportunity to interact with Paul Ash and Regional Vice President Tariro Mutizwa and other executives of CIMA after the event. Tariro says the institute will work closely with relevant stakeholders like the ICA to improve professionalism.
We are not competing for the shine. We want to work together, and we'll continue having meetings like today. We are having a meeting at ICAG, and to build those relations so that out there we're not seen as people who are fighting for shine. We do respect them. They are our regulator. They are the local body. We are here to collaborate and work together for the good of the finance profession.
And that's business. Sports is coming up next. Sports now on JoyNews today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. The Minister of Youth and Sports, Mustafa Youssef, says facilities under construction to host the 2023 Africa Games will be ready by February 2023. Speaking on the floor of Parliament on Wednesday, the Member of Parliament for Yagba Kubori constituency revealed the timelines for the completion of the event venues have been extended following a request from the contractor.
It's progressing steadily. Our last site meeting indicates significant progress in all the components of the project, especially those facilities that are needed to be constructed for the 2023 African Games. Mr. Speaker, the government has shown its commitment by paying the certificate that has been raised so far, and I'm confident that by February 2023, targets for completing of the project will be met. The project needs to be completed 6 months before the Games in order to allow testing and validation. Mr. Speaker, with the innovative strategy adopted by the contractor and the strict monitoring by my office, I believe the project timelines will be met. Per the contract signed and approved by this August House, the contractor was supposed to complete the project by December, but the contractor, through the consultants, applied for extension till February. So that's why I've indicated, and this is House of Records, indicated that once the extension has been requested and has been approved by the ministry, the contract, the project will duly be completed by February 2023, and it will still be good time for us to prepare and test the facilities and host the African Games. Thank you so much.
Black Stars coach Otto Addo has clarified his role as Borussia Dortmund. Otto, who will be leading Ghana to the FIFA World Cup later this year, has been tagged as a scout of the German club. But he says he is an assistant coach and decides which youth player is ready for first-team football.
First of all, I'm not a scout, I'm a coach. I did scouting in 2014 for the Ghana national team. I observed the German national team because I'm living in Germany. And so I did the scouting in 2014. And besides that, after that, I never scouted again. So I'm working as an assistant coach. It's more of a top talent coach. I'm in charge of especially the young players from Borussia Dortmund. I guide them, I coach them, I do positional training. I assist the coach during the training, during the weeks. And I guide the young players when they go down, they don't play, especially if they don't play in the first team, and they play for the second team. I guide them and I analyze their games. And I talk about the game with the young players so that they can get better. It's very, very important for us, Borussia Dortmund, to develop young players. And they will get a special feedback and special treatment from me. I'm also in charge for the young talents, or for the best players from the under 17, under 19. And I am in charge with, surely the head coach has the last word, but I also decide which young player will come up for the first team and can train and can play with the first team. I'm a transitional coach. Transitional,
okay, thank you.
Transition. So that means like I know which young players is coming to the first team.
Thank you.
But during the week, during the training, I'm assistant coach during the week. And at the weekends, I look all the matches from the young players. And so that we always know if we have some injuries or whatever, I know which players can fit for the first team and come in and head the first team. And I'm always in exchange with all the coaches, but especially with the head coach from the first team.
That is your sports for now, but we do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com and also at 2 p.m. when we come your way with sports today. We appreciate your company.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Showbiz here on JoyNews. And our musician KK Fosu has announced his intentions to join the parliamentary race in 2024, and his focus will be on growing the agriculture sector when he's giving the nod.
If you are voted MP right now, which change can you bring to your society?
I swear, first change will be agriculture. I will focus on agriculture. I will make sure I will make agriculture and one back corner for the youth. And without agriculture, we can never make anything. We have so many land, so many resources, but we are not making use of it. Trust me, Andy, the agriculture is entertainment, music entertainment, sports entertainment. That is what I will focus on for the talent. And then we go to school. We talk about degree for doctor. I have a sound engineer. Wako school. Every kid a degree. Me na mama na juma as a sound engineer. So you should know, self musicians nangas and yangas are a whole body in an institution already. So Andy, trust me, I will focus on agriculture first, and I will make sure that you.
There's more Showbiz stories on our platform, myjoyonline.com. That'll be all for Showbiz here on JoyNews today. My name is Becky. Good afternoon to you, Brace.
Good afternoon, Becky. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Joy News today. There's more news at myjoyonline.com. There's Marketplace is up next with Daryl Call. My name is Samuel Kojo. Brace, do enjoy the rest of your afternoon.